In this video, we're going to explore the display block, and display block is extremely important because understanding how display works is crucial, and the most common ones are display block, inline block, and display inline. Basically, those three are very close to each other and very commonly used. There are more different ones. I will cover those as well in another video, but here I want to focus on display block. This is the most important one to start with and compare them with this inline block and inline. Alright, to do this we need to have some divs, and I'm going to create here some basic divs. I would say here block, and then we have another div which would be inline block, and finally there's another one, it's called inline. Alright, with the inline, probably you will note that this is probably more suitable with span because it will be really inline, but let me show you here. Alright, so we have here the class block, and we're going to give this a height of 30 pixels, and we say width, and this can be, well, let's say also 30 pixels. So you will see as immediately why. And then we say background color, sorry, not box sizing, we don't need box sizing, background color is 333, so it's slightly dark grayish. Alright, then we have another one. We'll call it the inline block class, and that will be also 30 pixels, and then this one will be 666. And finally we have the inline item, and then we say here inline will be D. Alright, so what we need to do here is display block. This one will be display inline block, and then we have the final one, display inline. Alright, so once you have these, you'll see them. Let's save this and refresh here. Alright, so we have now a few items, and let's double check what's going on here. What do we have and why something is not showing up? Alright, so you can see the inline block has a width and height of 30, but it doesn't respond here, or it doesn't show. And let me double check, do we have everything correct? Inline block. Alright. Now, alright, of course, sorry. We have here the inline. Sorry. Refresh. Alright, now it works correctly. So you can see here right now, we have here the inline doesn't show here. And the reason why it doesn't show is because inline is basically a item itself. You can see here, it has no real height or width. So what we can do with the inline, we can say hello. And then if we do hello, we can see now it starts to show. But basically inline is not using any of the height, width, and padding. It doesn't respect those. Basically, if you would have a text, and then in here we have a span, you could compare it with a span here. Basically, the inline would be this class here, class, span, and here would be hello, or hello inline. And if you would save that, refresh, you can see here it will nicely match with that, as you can see here. So inline itself has no real action within the div, because the div itself, or well, it can be a div of course, but it will not really respond like a normal div, like the block or the inline block. So we have the inline block here. So if you refresh this now, you can see here. So what's going on with the inline block? The inline block is very close to the inline, except that it is basically considered as a block and it respects the height and width. The inline doesn't do that, but the inline block does. So let's put in this piece of code in here, and then we say here this is inline block. Oh, sorry. Save this and refresh. You can see now it starts to respect it and it responds on this here. And right now, because of the div, it creates all kind of options here, but this is basically how it works. So this here starts to respond to it. And what you can do as well is imagine if you have two of these items. If you would have them beside each other, refresh, you can see now they are starting to go in line with each other. The block itself does not respond. The block is considered almost like a width 100%, and the reason why is if you look at this, you can see there's a full padding here. Nope, there's a full padding here, or it doesn't allow, or a full margin here. It doesn't allow anything besides each other. To have that, you have to work with inline block. But if you see with the inline block, there is some space between here. So how do we solve this space? Well, basically, as I told you before, it responds very much like an inline, that if there's like a space here, it responds as a space here. So if you're going to remove the space, and now you see there's no space between it, then if we save this, there you are. And if we give this a background color, we can say here color, and then we say here, we're going to create a more specific item color, and then we say here background, and this would be 159 or 179. I'm just making up the numbers. So what happened now is, oh, sorry, did I save that? Oh, it doesn't work as well. Class color. Let's make sure that this is responsive, and for some reason it doesn't overrule it. Now it's alright, then I will just remove this one here for now. Give the color. There we are. Then all we have to do here is we just copy all of these, just to show you. This is not the inline, it should be inline block. Alright. Now you can see there's a different color here showing it, and putting it here besides. So basically, probably maybe there might be with the color issues, it starts to impact these here. But alright, that's alright. I will cover that in another video. However, this is basically how you do it with this. So what happened with this, with the inline, it will be next to each other, but of course it respects the space, and it's almost like a text. And this is basically here. So if you want to remove the space here, make sure you remove the space here. But of course, there are other items you can do with that, with the flex box, etc., etc. You can play around more with that. However, the inline box can be like a puzzle here, as you can see here. Once it starts to all to go together, it works here nicely. Well, this one here, the block, could be almost considered, while it's not a width 100%, it does respond as a width of 100% because we are not able to go besides each other. With the inline, it becomes more like a text style where it's more a span in itself instead of a div class. So this is very important. These are the three differences. The inline will, of course, never respect the so-called padding and margin, because inline doesn't work with that because it's considered as a normal text style. The block will respond, or sorry, the block itself becomes 100% item and nothing is allowed besides the other. And the inline block, as you can see here, the inline block will respect the margin, padding, and the height and the width settings. So that's very important to understand. Most of the time, especially these days now, we're going to use more and more the flex box, because the flex box is one of the best and the most flexible version of controlling your positioning, and that will be in another video as well. So if you have any question regarding to this, at least you have understanding of these. But if you have any question, put them in the comment section below. Thank you for watching this video, and I hope you enjoy it. And if you enjoy this video, you probably will enjoy this one as well. And if you're interested in Chart.js, check out in the description box the link directing to my Chart.js course, where you can learn everything about Chart.js. And finally, of course, make sure you subscribe to my channel.